this really extends my idea of the cultural perception of landscape. A lot of my older work is to do with tourism, gardening, intervention into the landscape. And so this first piece I made a year and a half ago, and it's coming along very nicely. I'm quite pleased with it. It's really, this whole series of 3 units is about controlling nature, or trying to control, because it's going to be impossible to control totally without a lot of intervention. And so this first piece was based on early garden designs using the parterre, which is the controlled garden structure that was often used in things like monasteries in order to grow herbs and spices and various things in the landscape in a controlled environment. So I use that same idea really to show the changes that have happened in the landscape in the last, say, 400 or 500 years. In fact, even the last 150, 200 years. If you look around here, this would have been unfamiliar to a lot of people 150 years ago. You look at the trees, the autumn olive, which is this tree here, the multiflora rose, which is basically taken over everywhere, barberry, and euonymus, winged euonymus. These were introduced by botanists mainly from the Far East, Japan, etc. And they've basically taken over because they're much more adaptable than the local plants. So this piece is like a symbolic encapsulation of 4 of those species. And eventually they will fill out, hopefully, and form these topiaries, 4 box-like structures. What's also nice about this is the color changes that will happen. This is also known as burning bush. So in the fall it will be bright red. This will explode with white flowers at some point. So you've got this nice sort of dialogue, I think, between the seasons. So
are you going to take off the cages once?
No, they will always remain there.
Do they become invisible then when they're?
I don't mind actually.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's not
But they will be clipped right at the.
Yeah, like this. You see?
We give the gardener a place to shear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Controlling it.
Could you name the species again, please?
This is a multiflora rose. It escaped. It was introduced. It did. It was introduced at the University of Connecticut as a.
Erosion control?
It was used for roads, to plant in between roads, and also to feed birds. And of course, the birds have propagated it. They're the ones that have propagated this everywhere. Autumn olive. Again, this is from originally from Japan. This is from Japan too. Autumn olive has a beautiful red berry that makes a nice jam.
Is that what those bushes are there?
Yeah, they've become trees now.
They're like Russian
They're actually very, very beautiful trees. Barberry. This has taken over my property in Avon. It's really just gone completely everywhere.
Does it grow as a shrub or does it get to be a tree?
It's very much a shrub. I mean, this one is forming nicely. This is going to be good in about another year's time, I think.
This is beautiful in the fall too, right?
This will turn red too, red
Nice
ribbon.
red.
Is it also from Japan?
Yes.
Japanese
And
barberry.
winged euonymus too. It's called winged. If you look at the older branches, it has these sort of like striated wings. So I learned from this, making these structures, because if we move on to the next 2 here. This again uses an old device. It's called the enclosed garden, or the hortus conclusus. It's an old idea of enclosing something that is precious. This is the turf that you can walk on, and as you can see, you can't actually approach the center of the garden directly. You have to go through it almost like a maze thing. These beds here protect the centre. And this I planted about 2.5 weeks ago. It's still very delicate. I can't actually cut it until about another week. And this will gradually be mowed at the same time as this. This will grow in rather like the grass here. So it's an act of futility in a way, trying to control nature, because eventually the fescue and the Kentucky bluegrass will just basically disappear back into the system. And I will document it. A lot of my art is about documenting the progress of it. So this is a work in progress. The stakes here, these sections here will be grown with indigenous plants. Since I've been here, I found out a lot about indigenous plants. This I thought the black locust was indigenous, but it's not, so I'm not going to use this. I'm actually going to use shagbark hickory, these trees here.
Beautiful leaf.
There's a beautiful leaf. Where the stakes are, they're going to be planted there, and in between there's going to be milkweed. You all know what milkweed looks like? I can point some out later. There's some growing over there.
It's in danger and it's good for butterflies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll probably grow up the shagbark to about this height and sort of pollard them, so to control them. This came yesterday thanks to one of the helpers. This is a crabapple tree.
It's also native, right?
This is a native crabapple. There's also, if you look back in literature, the idea of the enclosed garden, the hortus conclusus, is a symbol for the womb of the Virgin Mary. So there's that sort of feeling of a sacred space too. Not that I'm religious.
So that'll be trimmed so it's a square.
It'll be a box. Yeah, box of. So, as opposed to controlling, symbolically controlling the plant, this is to protect it, because a lot of deer come through and they will nibble away at the edges. The last few days have been so hot that I worry a little bit about my transplants. We talk about this piece here. It's the same idea. The hortus conclusus. You can't approach it directly. You have to go through and in. And this is a species rose, Rosa glauca. It will be a very beautiful rose with single pink flowers. But this is a forbidden garden. This is a garden that is not particularly enticing for you to enter, because growing up will be poison ivy, which will festoon the whole thing, and there will be just enough room to walk through it or not. So you're risking not life and limb, but you will be risking a poisonous plant touching you. Perhaps I should put ticks on it too. And I particularly like this. If you look at the surface, the rusted metal, I think poison ivy is a very beautiful plant. I mean, I really do love it, especially in the fall. It becomes this beautiful golden red colour, which will, I think, go very nicely against the rust, and also the rose also has nice foliage. So it's going to be a lot of interesting aesthetic things happening. I've introduced another path. Ralph let me put a path down. I particularly like the view from the top of the path. We're looking down on it, because you're looking very slightly onto it. And I also like the idea. This is a commercial stuff. It's 5 foot high. You can actually just look over too. But hopefully the poison ivy will also festoon that. So.
How fast do you think it will?
I don't know. You know, I'm actually very surprised that the poison ivy has died back. I've lost a lot of it. I spent a day pulling out poison ivy and transplanting it. And if you know, the poison ivy is actually like a vine, so it doesn't actually have a bundle of roots. You know,
Just keep going.
Looks like there's some healthy trees.
I think it's beginning to. Yeah,
I think it'll change.
there's some new ones there. But I will come back. I mean, because I live fairly close, I should be coming back every month. And in the fall will be the next major planting. I think I will probably have to transplant some more poison ivy, plus the trees there. It's a bad time now to do any form of transplanting. So basically, I can't do any more to it.